Hey everybody, this is Doug Gresm, and we're back here with another video. So I think it's been at least a couple weeks since I've done one. Really haven't been keeping up at all with this. Work has been a little interesting in that aspect where I kind of expected this to happen. This is one of the things way back I noted on the Patreon post I usually do, is that if I ever got a full-time job, it was going to be really hard to keep up with things. So yeah, there hasn't been as much streaming, not as much videos. Still planning on trying to keep up at least one stream a week, so we're going to be doing streaming. However, this weekend we're going to be working on probably non-modded related stuff, as there is two things coming up. There's the Advent of Coding 2018, so you see that. I just finished part 1 and 2 today. We'll be doing these. I don't know if we're really supposed to do videos of them, but I think at some point I'm going to make a video and go through some of these. I don't know, I'm not 100% sure on that. But we are going to do videos on Ludum Dare 43. Now I pretty much made a promise saying that I was going to try to participate in every single one of these that came up, regardless of what happened. Now I've got a bit of a cold. The only reason I'm even able to speak right now is I've pretty much caffeinated myself like deeply and have been trying to get to the point where I can even speak, because this whole entire morning I wasn't able to do anything. So we're there. A little bit tired, but we're going to do this. So this one I kind of unexpectedly came up on November 30th. I completely forgot. I thought this was going to be somewhere, at least into December, like, I don't know, next weekend, 8th or something. Forgot about it. So it popped up. They did the voting on the theme here a few days ago, and they decided they're going to go with the theme of sacrifices must be made. I'm going to be honest. I really don't have any ideals in it. With the cold I have, it is making it far worse. The last Ludum Dare 42, that one was a challenge to come up with an ideal, and the reason I never participated in the previous one, or previous few, is every time I went to go look at the theme, I was like, that is just bizarre. I think the Ludum Dare 41 was like, mixed two games together that didn't really quite match, or maybe was controls, I don't remember which one it was. But yeah, we're doing this. For those who don't know what Ludum Dare is, it's a game jam making competition. I participated in 42, made Spaces Running Out of Space, which was a asteroid kind of collection game. Still working on that one. Still not sure what we're going to do with that one. Eventually we'll get back into it. Eventually I'll release it, even though I said I was going to release it months ago, which just, you know, things happen. As for the whole thing, there are rules we have to follow. There is a time limit. I'm not doing the compo one because I just started on this morning, and I'm still in the ideal design phase, which we're going to go through here and kind of talk about my ideal and what I think I'm going to do. And then either on stream or video, we're going to actually start into the development side of it and do things. So let's go through the rules real quick just to make sure I'm refreshed, because I'm now looking at these. So yeah, it's an event where you create games, basically in a weekend. Really cool, actually kind of nice. Themes are suggested and are accepted starting 5 weeks before. Theme vote kicks off 2 weeks before. What I really think they also need to do is that they need to give us a little bit of space between the theme actual vote end and start, because announcing this right before we started kind of makes ideals really hard to come by. But we're doing the jam version. Ludum Dare event for everyone, teams individually, anyone can join. They're basically, you get 72 hours to make a game. Work alone, work a team. You can use any library tools to create your games, any base code you have. This is what's going to save me in the long run, to be honest. The previous one I didn't really have much of any code to work on. I just started working in Unity again only a couple weeks before the last one started. And I got lucky that I had just a little bit of code going, but man, I had to come up with everything from scratch. The cool thing is, I got code to start with now, so we're going to have all the menus up to starting right away, which is something that took me a long time to do the last one. I wanted to make sure we had all the basic menus, because you believe it or not, there's a huge factor in somebody's decision whether or not your game is good, is if your menus are actually usable, if you have the basic functionality and stuff. So we're going to get that going. No clue if we're going to get art set assets going. We'll probably opt out of this one when we do it, simply because I have a plan to use some pre-bought assets that I bought a while ago, and that'll probably do it. Strong recommend you only use assets legally right to. Yeah, we're good on that one. I never do that anyways. And we don't even care about the non-video game entries. Let's see. Combo entry has some special rules about source code. Since we're not doing that, we don't need to really worry about it. But basically, you must create every single part of your game. Basically, your art assets, everything must be created by you. You can use libraries. Hey, they actually let you start with code bases you have. Yeah, but you're required to share your code. That'll say that one. I share my code anyways. I think my last one's actually up here. Oh yeah, they do a special. Huh, cool. And you guys can go through this. It's basically just a rule page. But yeah, so we're going to rules. We're probably not going to have a problem with that one because we're going to be making most of our own stuff. And even the assets, I think I'm going to be editing most of the assets because we're gonna be using an asset pack. And I don't remember if I have this somewhere on my computer. Let me actually down screen this. Yes. So there was a Humble RPG bundle that came out here a while ago that I bought. So I went ahead and bought a lot of these. Because I knew at some point I was more than likely going to actually use these. And I'm not 100% familiar with these either, so I might be messing up going through these. Let me see if this will even open. Oh no, GIMP wants to start. Yeah, GIMP will take a little bit to start. I finally did update it though. For those of those who point out my old videos, oh, you're using the old version? Yes, I know. I finally updated it. Yeah, cover it, I don't care. Okay, so we got some icons. Very likely, almost none of these we're going to use. I'll have to think about it, at least for a lot of these. But we have icons that we can somewhat start with and work with. We'll probably even use a few of these for characters. We got some battle music, so this is definitely going to help out. We'll definitely be using those because I don't really care what I get with the final result when it comes to people voting on it. I only care that we participate and have some fun enjoying and building what we're going to be doing. We got tons of those to work with, so we're using those. And as for the ideal, now this one was really tricky to figure out. And I kind of more or less had to do my normal, let's bounce stuff off of a group of people until something kind of starts to, I guess, form. And what we ended up with is that, after talking to people for several minutes, is that we were like, oh, we could do, because my first ideal was do a puzzle game. Because when you run into this ideal that sacrifices like must be made, you start to go with the most classic stuff. You go with, okay, let's make something about sacrifices, like the literal interpretation of the theme. I know some people are going to come up with a less literal interpretation. Some people are probably going to do some really good ideals. But I was like, we'll make a puzzle game. We'll force the player to have to sacrifice something, like actually physical. I was like, okay, we can go with inventory stuff. So you have to sacrifice items in order to get through a quest line. I was like, yeah, it kind of fits the theme, but it feels very weak. Because in any RPG game, you are making sacrifices on what items you loot, what items you don't loot, what dungeon areas you explore, how you go about stuff. You're making, I guess, choices, and in every choice you ever make, you sacrifice something. You pick the best of two options, and you end up with the sacrificing the lesser option. It's a weird interpretation to think about it, but it kind of works. But going with an ideal like that doesn't quite feel right to meet the theme. Then with going through this, people mentioned, I believe Saw was one of the movies that was mentioned. You could do a Saw one. I would actually do this, make a game featured off of Saw, if I didn't have as much of a cold as I do, and it's been really difficult to think. So it's like, we could do it. We could make a game that had a lot of traps in it, had a lot of characters, had a lot of quest narrative, and make you literally have to go through the same kind of challenges the Saw movies had. Now, I haven't really seen a lot of the Saw movies, so I don't know if I'm even coming close. Main concept I know is you have some kind of crazy person that puts people in situations where they have to like saw their legs off and stuff. It's very gruesome. It's a horror movie set, and there's like a whole bunch of movies in that series until you find out like there's a storyline to it, which is surprising for horror movies. They usually don't have a storyline. But we figured out that probably wouldn't work. Then I was like, okay, we could do a card game. This was mentioned, I think, at some point here. Somebody mentioned a vampire. Mentioned that you could do some time travel alternative stuff. It's like, I like these ideals that are being suggested, but we got basically 2 days. And my note, even though this does 2 days and 6 hours, I have to sleep. I have to go to work Monday. So the reality is, we have probably 6 hours today, and we'll probably have 10 hours tomorrow. So we have like 18 hours to actually make this in. Of time that I would have available to actually do stuff with my schedule. And that's if I don't decide to sidetrack and do the advent of coding, do that stuff, and that takes me too long, and if I don't decide to work on bugs for ICPM. So let's just say we probably have 5 hours today, 5 hours tomorrow. So we don't have a huge amount of time to make a game, a huge amount of time to do stuff, and everything else. So, it's strange. We're gonna have some time problems. Back to the thing. So, So to that, I figured I could make a card game, and then realized I suck at art. So you need art for card games to be worthy of actually being playable. Because you can make cards, you can put text on them, and people would play it, but it doesn't feel fun. I know people will probably say, "Oh, but card games don't need art to be good," and I'm guessing most people don't realize that they got into the card game the first time because they probably saw the art and were like, "Oh, that art looks amazing. Those characters look epic." And they actually imagine the characters fighting in their head and stuff, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, we do stuff." So I was mentioning it. Then I realized, after recovering a bit from my cold, I've been watching a lot of the SCP Foundation videos on like their creepy stuff. And for those who don't know what the SCP Foundation is, basically it's a secure, contain, protect. It's a foundation that goes after, collects relics, artifacts, monsters, contains them, studies them, and tries to protect humanity from this stuff. And there is some really, really bizarre and creepy, and I would put it out that most of these are horror-driven stuff. There's a couple good ones in here. There's a couple ones that have some pretty good themes to them and stuff. Mostly horror-driven. But there's one in particular I was thinking of when I was doing this, and it was the idea that there's this machine. And there's a video that was made by, I forget who, I actually might be able to find him on YouTube real quick, that I originally watched, and it is kind of what inspired this. The actual article of this thing isn't what really did it, it's the video. So yeah, right here, by the Vulcan. So he made this video, I watched this, I recommend you guys watch it as well if you want to know what I'm going to make. I'm not going to copy this one-to-one, because this is very much a horror story, and it's one of those ones that can actually give you nightmares if you really think about it too hard. But the ideal is you have a machine that basically wants to be fed iron, metal. The more you feed it, the bigger the machine gets, etc., etc. It can feed on organic stuff, because some organic creatures have metal in their blood systems, like people. And it will feed on them. It'll do all kinds of stuff. There doesn't seem to be any objective to the machine, like it just has gears, pulleys, whatever, screws, etc. running on it. It just seems to exist. This is basically SCP Foundation stuff are almost always like this. There's not a lot of explanation to what it is and what its purpose is. They really just go into saying, okay, this is what we can see, this is what we can observe, and here's the creepiness of it. They just leave it at that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a game that features the machine and features a cult. In the actual video, they actually do have a cult kind of forms around it. It's actually a Christian priest who ends up getting brainwashed by the machine, and then gets the rest of the people in the town to also become brainwashed by the machine, to start worshipping the machine as if it was their god, and feed it metal. And then it's got a horrible ending where they throw a person into it, and the person gets devoured by the machine. And then that's kind of where it ends, because the person who is recanting this tale was captured by the SCP Foundation. He had run away, because you saw something like that, that'd be horrible. So he ran away, and the SCP Foundation only finds an empty island with nothing on it, no people, just a machine. And they end up putting the machine in a containment with seawater and stuff, and keeping it hidden because, well, the machine eats things. So for the game, we're going to do that. The ideal is what I have in mind. And let me go pull up Paint, because Paint's going to be the best way to explain this with how kind of half asleep I am right now. So we're going to have the machine. We'll represent this by like a cube. I'm going to make it smaller just so I can kind of give the scale. So the game itself, we're going to do a top-down perspective, because that's what I have code for right now. This is also what I kind of think the game would best be suited as. So I have the machine. It'll be represented by a block. We'll probably put some artwork on this. We'll probably make it look exactly like the machine from the SCP thing. Give it some animation when we can. So we'll have that. You will control cultists, basically. And you won't directly control them. And what I mean by this is that they will exist, but your main objective is to kind of do a supporting action, because the cultists will do their own thing. And you can recruit cultists, and you'll be able to train stuff. So it's kind of like a strategy game, but you can't directly control the cultists, and you can't directly control the machine. So they'll do their own stuff, so it'll be an AI-driven game. The thing you'll be able to do is make some decisions on what happens. So you'll be able to go, hey, let's go recruit some more cultists. Hey, let's go attack this other cult, because you will be attacked by things. So you will be attacked by other cultists, so maybe like other cultists. And we'll represent these probably in-game by different colors. My mind kind of sees it as we're doing like robe figures, but I doubt we're actually going to have the artwork for that. So we'll have cultists, other occultists, and they'll be whatever. So there'll be different things. And we may even have law enforcement, so you may have like different... You may have different factions that will attack you. We're going to represent them pretty much mostly the same, though. You'll also have buildings and stuff, so you'll have buildings you'll have to move around. So you'll be in a city of some kind, and these cultists may be in buildings themselves, and you'll be moving around, and you'll find stuff. So you'll find things like, hey, you want to go find metal over here. You may have vehicles that you want to grab. So you have various things, and you're going to try to direct the cultist to go steal stuff, loot it, bring it back to your cube, and as you feed the cube will grow in size. The more it grows, the more options you get. So the more things we'll probably end up doing. We'll probably do some power-ups and stuff. So we'll make the machine a little bit different from the story, because the idea is the story from the SCP Foundation is just meant to act as a template. It's not going to be exactly what we do. So it's just going to be the inspiration there. So we'll have this machine, and you'll feed it stuff. And then to start making it creepy and start to fit the sacrifice thing, you'll have some weirdness start to happen. You'll have people that throw themselves in the machine and die. You'll get the option to throw people into the machine and stuff. The machine will talk occasionally and be like, hey, feed me more stuff. You haven't given me all the metal. Like, when you start to run out of like metal objects, it'll start to direct you like, hey, doorknobs are metal. It'd be like, hey, the nails in the buildings are made of metal, and you'll start stripping the buildings down. You'll start taking the doors. It'd be like, hey, those cultists you just killed over here, they have iron. And you'll throw them in the thing. So it'll get really creepy, really bizarre. It's designed to be kind of horror-driven, just like the SCP Foundation thing. But it's designed to fit the theme. So the theme is sacrifices must be made. You're a cult sacrificing stuff to your god. That is literally the ideal and concept behind that. So we're going to build that, and to be honest, when we probably build this, we're going to probably use very similar artwork to what I'm even showing here in Paint, because we just need to get something running. We don't really need to care what's going on. We're going to use all the code from the previous game we have, so I'm probably just going to clone it, delete everything out of it I don't want, and start from there, and we'll be doing that probably on a stream or one of the videos here. But until then, I'll see you guys later.